Okay, so I'm about to mess with one of the most iconic scenes in cinema history, because I think we've all been confidently wrong about something in Jurassic Park, and that is the T-Rex breakout scene. And once you see this, you can't go back to unseeing it. And I know you're thinking, well, I remember it clearly. The goat gets eaten, the fence comes down, the T-Rex steps out, and then the Jeep gets pushed over a cliff. Simple, right? Except there's one problem here. When the T-Rex steps out of the paddock, the ground is completely flat, level with the road, no drop-off, no trench, no cliff. But seconds later, that same Jeep falls into a deep concrete moat. And yes, while there's many explanations for this, which we will explore later, they are completely incorrect. And I need you to do something. The next time you watch this scene, don't feel it, actually watch it, because the geography doesn't line up. And once you notice this next thing, the entire breakout sequence changes. And let's go by this moment by moment. The first time the tow vehicles stop in front of the paddock, the fence line runs level with the road. There doesn't seem to be any visible drop-off at all. No deep trench, and no sudden change in elevation. Later on, the tow vehicles come back in the dark, then the T-Rex breaks through, and it steps over the fence. The feet are on the same level as the cars. Same plane, same ground. But hang on, minutes later, that same vehicle is pushed backwards into a deep concrete drop. And Alan Grant climbs down this vertical drop as well. We see it. It's exactly the same location. These images don't fit naturally together. And I know all you Jurassic fanboys are screaming at the TV right now. Well, there was a moat, there was a way up. Well, don't worry, we're going to explore it all in a second. Calm down. You see, fans have been debating this for decades, 30 years plus. Some call it a continuity mistake. Others say the layout makes sense if you picture the paddock extending further than we assume. I myself have also debated this for decades. I did a video on it several years ago, but today we're putting this to rest once and for all. There's actually a reconstruction showing the feeding area near the road, with a deeper moat further along inside the enclosure. Now, in this version, the Rex doesn't push the Jeep straight back where it broke through, because many people believe that the Rex simply just pushed the Jeep over the edge where the Rex broke through. That doesn't make sense, obviously. No, it pushes the car down the road towards a lower section in this reconstruction. That would mean the cliff was always there, just the other side of where the Rex broke through. But you rewatch this scene carefully. This doesn't make sense. You see, the rain and darkness make it extremely difficult to judge the shot. The explanation isn't impossible, but it just isn't right, and I'll explain why now. Once the fence breaks, obviously the T-Rex flips the car, and then the T-Rex hits the car off the drop. You then think, if this was separated right next to where the T-Rex came up on this little drop-off, perfect. There were two separate areas. The moat was to the other side of where the T-Rex climbed up this like ramp enclosure. That makes sense, but it doesn't. Watch this scene again, because this is why the argument never disappears. You see, when Alan Grant starts abseiling down this giant drop-off, which allegedly appears from nowhere, wouldn't we see that rise to his left in this shot here, where the T-Rex obviously would have walked up towards the fence? We don't. We see nothing. Now, I know you could say that the T-Rex pushed their car several meters down the road, but even then you'd still see it. What are we missing here? Have we got this completely wrong? You see, if we're using all these diagrams and all these sketches and schematics, it would make sense as to what we see on screen. It doesn't. You see, think about the two key images burned into your memory. The Rex stepping over the fence, and then the Jeep falling into that deep drop into the trees. Hold these two images side by side in your mind. One level shows terrain, the other shows a steep vertical wall, and there's a little spatial jump between them both. You never really watch this when you're just simply enjoying the film, and your brain seems to just fill in the gaps anyway, and you never seem to question it at all. But here's the interesting thing. Why does nobody notice this the first time they watch the film? Why does it take decades later, freeze frames, and online diagrams to even bring all this up? Because in the moment, you're not really analysing the geography. You're reacting to the storm, the power's out, the goat's gone, the T-Rex, there's a giant Rex in front of us, then the car's going over a cliff, and you never really pay attention to the surroundings. Your attention narrows to that survival aspect. And when your attention narrows like that, the peripheral details also fade. That includes the terrain. And after 30 years, the blended memory seems seamless. But let's zoom out for a second. This isn't the only moment in Jurassic Park where things seem to be flexible. The visitor center layout changes constantly between scenes. So the question here is, did Jurassic Park lie to us? Did we get this scene completely wrong? Well, the answer is Jurassic Park didn't lie to us, but we have got this scene wrong for years. I don't care what you say. Looking at these diagrams, we're trying to explain the moat. But this is the point where I'm going to put the nail in the coffin here, finally once and for all, because we got to stop leading with emotion and let's go with what the movie tells us. In this scene here, where John Hammond is looking at the cars in the paddock, we see the tour cars actually going through the paddock the first time when it's light. And at this point, we can get a clear look at the enclosure. And let's zoom in on this for a second. Have you noticed something here? The tree line is right up to the fence. There is no moat present in this scene. Now, you could say that isn't where the cars get thrown off. Well, sorry, the car gets thrown off the edge. But that would be untrue because we know the car gets thrown off by there. That's where the drop-off should be. It's not present though. Again, you're probably saying, oh, well, this is different. This is in the day, they're coming the other way. That's right. But in the night, they're coming back towards the visitor center the other way. And the car gets thrown off roughly about where this shot shows us now. And as you can see, there is no visible drop-off. That means then that this was literally a continuity error, right? Well, not entirely. You see, Universal and Jurassic have been trying to explain this for years. I mean, when Fallen Kingdom came out, they had the DPD website, and they actually had a section, which is canon to the movies, by the way, where they tried to explain the old park. They literally return to it, and it shows us the T-Rex drop-off. It shows us a bunch of Brachiosaurus going up an incline, and to the right, an old Jeep covered in foliage, telling us that this is where the cars originally stopped outside the Tyrannosaur paddock, trying to visually show us and justify how the T-Rex got up towards the cars. It's almost like they're trying to convince us that there was actually logic behind what happened in this scene. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. The scene itself is flawed, and even Spielberg himself recognizes this fact. He said in an interview when he was asked about this scene, he said, "There's a T-Rex there, man. People don't care about these details." And he said that also to his director Debunking, who raised this concern. And to be honest, he was 100% true. When I first watched Jurassic Park, and even 3-4 times after it, I never really questioned it until it was brought up to me. And I thought, hang on, you're right. Then I found all this information, but then when I looked deeper today, I think we were confidently wrong. We were literally coping with it. It is a continuity error. There is no drop-off in the film. It literally just appears from nowhere just for that suspense factor. And then later they try to justify it and convince us with all these diagrams, but it just doesn't line up to what we see on the screen. But hang on, something gets extremely interesting here. Obviously, this ramp leads up to where the goat is, kind of like a viewing platform so people can see the Rex. I assume this should also be the ramp that Ellie and Muldoon used to get down to the car to see if Alan Grant was there with Lex and Tim. The only issue again is we don't see it when Alan Grant is climbing down the wall. To the left would be this huge ramp we would see. We don't see that either. I mean, in theory, these diagrams work, yes, but then what we actually see on screen isn't that. No matter what you say, it isn't there. You then couple this with the actual photos of the paddock in the day, where you can clearly see the tree line and the fence and what's behind it, no moat. We have confidently been wrong about this scene for years. There is no ramp leading up to the track. It is a continuity error, without doubt, despite how many times Universal will try and convince us that it isn't. But that isn't the only thing off about Jurassic Park. If you want to go deeper into further parts of the park that don't usually get brought up or talked about, there are videos on this channel which go even further. We have the restricted files, we have the one about Nedry and Muldoon from last week and the week before. And the more you rewatch this film carefully, the more details start to come to the surface. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. I highly recommend checking them out after this. And if you want to see these videos early, just like the InGen research team on screen now, consider becoming a member. So a massive thanks to the members for keeping the power on in the park. DVM Wannabe 1018, Fallen Zuria, and our Jurassic CEOs Joseph Frost Ghost and Zarkadian. And if you came across this T-Rex out in the paddock, could your day get any worse? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.